destructive tag attached to it, meaning that winds in excess of 80 miles per hour are likely with this cluster of thunderstorms. Earlier, the National Weather Service out of Paducah had a tag up to 100-mile-per-hour winds. With this cluster again of thunderstorms that continues to march more into Kentucky and eventually here into Middle Tennessee. So let's back out a little bit just to give you a little bit of bearing here, just to see where we're at. There's Nashville. Here's the complex to the north and to the west, moving through western Kentucky and West Tennessee. And even behind that, we've got yet another cluster of thunderstorms moving through Sikeston, Missouri, into western Kentucky, and even another tornado warning attached to that. So pretty active night, unfortunately, that we're dealing with here. Looks like Weather Service out of Nashville has gone ahead and stepped into the party here, issuing a severe thunderstorm warning for Stewart County until 1:30. So that's all going to be associated with this line here as it continues to work its way more into Tennessee over the course of the next hour or so. Now it looks like Paducah has gone ahead and added a destructive tag to the Trigg County and into Christian County, parts of Christian County line as well. So the destructive tag gives this a more heightened risk for us. I have not yet seen, I've been kind of monitoring chat through the Paducah area for any reports of damage. I have not seen much yet, but I'm sure we'll start to see more. Unfortunately, we're talking about an overnight event, so a lot of folks are going to be sleeping, waking up to this, and this is, it looks like it's going to be a pretty active night here. Meteorologist Greg Bobus is with us as well, so you've got the two of us right now. And Greg, I don't know if you've been monitoring chat at all.
Just happened on kind of getting up to speed with what's been going on overnight, so I'm kind of diving right into that as we speak.
Yeah, what a way to walk into work in the morning hours.
Yeah.
We're looking at 65 mile per hour winds with this line, and again, so that's going to be our main concern as we move forward this morning here. We're also, I think, going to be looking at this cluster here. It'll be interesting to see what happens as it moves more into Middle Tennessee. So there's still some questions as to what is going to happen as it gets closer to the Nashville area, but for now, I think this will likely be the more potent area that we are watching for the overnight, where we'll likely see the higher threats with these higher wind gusts, the tornado risk. But, given again, the environment looks like, it's still in an unstable environment, so we'll remain vigilant as we go through the evening hours. Now, there is a severe thunderstorm watch that has been issued, and this does include a good chunk of our counties here. And this is now going to extend till 6 a.m. So for Trigg, Christian, and Todd counties, Henry County, and Benton County, these are all until 3 o'clock in the morning. Everywhere else, it is 6 a.m. And that is going to be for these strong thunderstorms that are starting to push more into southern Kentucky. So that's what we have at the moment here. Again, the Trigg County tornado warning is what's prompting us on the air. In addition to that, though, the destructive tags have me a little concerned here, just given the fact that we could be looking at tornado wind speeds. Low-end tornadoes can produce winds 70, 80 miles per hour, and we're looking at wind gusts that could be doing that. So unfortunately, this could be a pretty damaging night for some folks here moving through now southern Kentucky. I've also got another tornado warning back here in Carlisle County, Kentucky. So embedded within a lot of these thunderstorms, we're looking at a couple tornado warnings. I see 3 right now that are in effect. So one throughout Missouri, one in Kentucky, another one in Kentucky here, and that does include Trigg County. So Trigg County is our focus right now. In addition to the tornado warning, we've got the destructive tag on there also. So we're going to be watching this again as it pushes more into the county. I am going to go ahead and turn off lightning just because it's a little easier to see what we're looking at. And I'm going to put on our shear rate here. So a pinpoint area of rotation, and perhaps a lowering in CC coming out of Fenton So right around Fenton. So I'm looking right here, this one. Let's circle that. We'll look, that's exactly where detection is. That is exactly where our velocity is. We might have a debris signature here with this tornado warning. So I'm now going to be watching to see if we have a box turn purple instead of red. So waiting to see if that is in fact what we're looking at here, but definitely looks like we may have debris just to the west of Fenton in Kentucky, and that pushing more into Trigg County. So again, these types of tornado warnings are going to be brief spin-ups that occur. So most of these are not going to be long-lived on the ground for several miles. They're going to be short-lived, and they will produce quick damage and then lift back up into the sky. But unfortunately, the whole complex of thunderstorms is troublesome because of the wind speeds that we are looking at here. So wind speeds in excess of 80, perhaps even 90 miles per hour with these storms as they approach more of our viewing area. So that is what we have on hand at the moment. But just looking in here to see what we might have coming out of Paducah. I have not seen anything yet.
Excuse me, I've seen nothing yet in terms of any updates here in the chat from Paducah at the moment. But yeah, I was kind of looking over here on the other weather machine. It looks like I was seeing the same thing you were with the little burst of blue.
Yeah.
So this could definitely be something that we're seeing some sort of, well, non-meteorological things that are flying through the air here in this area, which is not what you want to see on the radar right in the middle of the night. So yeah, we're going to keep our eyes on this, Katie, as obviously we always do. But this could be a very long night for a lot of folks. And even if you don't end up having anything when it comes to tornado warnings, you might get woken up, or you might have friends that get woken up. Also, if you have friends that live in Kentucky and they might not be awake, maybe give them a phone call right now if they're in Trigg County or Christian County. Give them the heads up that this is moving in their direction. That's one of my first things I would always say in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that is good advice. And again, this is going to be one of those nights, I think, that a lot of folks are going to be woken up just for the amount of lightning that we have happening at the moment here. So we'll put that back on just for a minute, and just within view over 150 strikes, but we'll zoom out, and the complex of thunderstorms now upwards to almost 1,000 strikes of lightning. So some strong thunderstorms, to say the least. If I had to time this out, and I haven't looked to see, looks like they're getting reports of wind gusts up to 77 miles per hour in Murray in Kentucky. I was going to check and see here the speed at which these are moving. So we're moving at about 40 miles per hour. So if I had to estimate, it'll be at least another hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, maybe closer to 3 o'clock in the morning if this cluster works its way toward Nashville. So truly overnight that we're looking at. For Clarksville, I would say within the hour, we could be looking at maybe within an hour, these thunderstorms knocking on your doorstep. I'm going to track this out and we'll move this at about 45 miles per hour. So here are some communities that are impacted. This again with that line of thunderstorms that are producing winds up to 80 miles per hour. Land Between the Lakes entering that area now. Dover in the next 12 minutes. Bear Spring in 19 minutes. We're looking at Red Top in about 27 minutes from now, expecting this storm to move in, and the possibility of producing winds up to 80 miles per hour. Other than that, we do continue to follow the tornado warning out of Trigg County. Let's zoom in here. Right now, this does not include Cadiz. And again, Cadiz right here. So that's just outside of the warning, tornado, and the destructive wind warning. But torrential rain, something else too that we haven't mentioned too much, but we don't want to ignore, is the fact that these storms could produce some pretty heavy rainfall, and that could lead to some flash flooding concerns. So that is something else that we'll have to keep a very close eye on. I did notice that we were, I did see a few flash flood warnings back here, back through Mayfield. Looks like they've got a flash flood warning, and even beyond that up towards Kentucky and into southern portions of Illinois. Again, we're watching the tornado warning that continues, pushing more into Trigg County now. So this, I would say that the area of immediate concern is going to be near Fenton to Golden Pond. So we're in the land between the lakes right now. That is where we did have a very brief area of circulation. It really tightened up, but does not look to be quite as impressive or tight at the moment. So that would be good news, but not enough to warrant an all clear, if you will. So want to make sure that you're staying in your safe spot if you can. Lowest level of your home, away from windows. If you're in the land between the lakes area in Trigg County, so near Canton, toward Cumberland Shores, up to Ferguson Spring even, and over towards Fenton. These are all locations that we need to keep a real close eye on, and I would say stay in your safe place until we can get the all clear from the Weather Service as well. Because these storms do have the history of spin-ups, they could easily drop a tornado and then lift, and then kind of march down the way a little bit more and then drop another tornado. So we don't want to let our guard down just yet here. But easily, I think we could be looking at some pretty high wind gusts within this line, pushing into land between the lakes and Golden Pond, pushing through Fenton at the moment, and headed towards Cumberland Shores. Blue Spring, this is going to be along Highway 68, even up towards Shawnee Hills, over toward Maple Grove. So all of these locations within Trigg County need to be sheltering in place. And I would say even just for the severe thunderstorm warning. So if you're not included in the tornado warning, even Cadiz to Caledonia, Roaring Spring, treat this as a tornado warning, a destructive tag again, meaning that we could be looking at winds up to 80 miles per hour within this storm as it marches more through Trigg County. We also have the severe thunderstorm destructive tag in Henry County. This starting to push more into Paris as this southern line continues to draw in some pretty high wind gusts as well. So what we have right now, we have a destructive tag for Henry County and Trigg County and a very small sliver of Christian County. We have a regular severe thunderstorm warning for Stewart County and a tornado warning for western portions, the western half really of Trigg County. So that's what we have at the moment for severe thunderstorm / tornado warnings.
And we're finally getting some damage that's coming in, Katie, here. There's a roof collapse on Coldwater Road that's near the Murray State campus. So we're starting to get our first signs that this, even if it's not tornado damage, is already starting to, people are already reporting that we're seeing things here close to 1 o'clock in the morning. So to your point, also, even if you're not in the red box, when there's a destructive tag on these thunderstorms like this, if you've been following the weather on social media the last week, there was a major storm system that moved to the Midwest near the Chicago area where they had a couple tornadoes, but they had straight line winds of up to 100 miles an hour at times.
Yep.
So even if you're not in the red box, you still got to be in your safe spots. It still could be a very dangerous storm complex as it's moving through for us here this morning.
Yeah, good point. And yeah, we want to make sure that we're taking those severe thunderstorm warnings seriously too. That's going to be our main risk as we head through the overnight, is the severe thunderstorm risk. And again, we do have the severe thunderstorm watch that remains in effect until 6 o'clock in the morning, mainly for those along and north of 40 and west of I-65. I would say pretty uncertain at this point if they'll extend the watch. It's really highly dependent on what this cluster of thunderstorms does as it moves more into Middle Tennessee in the next hour. So for now, things are quiet in Nashville, and that's the way it'll stay for another hour to almost 2 hours, I think, at least another hour and a half. But this is an impressive line that's working its way across portions of western Kentucky, southern Illinois, and more into Middle Tennessee here. So we will stick with this warning. Now the warning goes until 1:30, I believe.
1:30.
Yeah.
Yep. And that has not changed as of yet, and they have not pushed it forward. But if we keep seeing what we're seeing, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of extend onto this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like we're getting more reports to Murray, Kentucky, weather station gusting up to 82 miles per hour. So that again, not in the tornado warned area, just in the general or the severe thunderstorm area with the destructive tag. So there's Murray and this cluster that moved through here. You can almost see it bowing out. So you notice how this line kind of bows like this. So that's going to be where we find some pretty high winds out of that line. And typically with a tornado warning, we'll find it right in this little notch, this little nook right here. So right around Cumberland shores, if we had a tornado in progress, I would say that's probably one of the areas that we're watching now east of Fenton. But also seeing a fairly good wind signature here from Cumberland shores headed toward Golden Pond. This is going to be winds up to maybe 70 at least miles per hour. And then looks like there's a little bit of rotation right around Golden Pond along Highway 68. So this is Fenton Road, Canton Road, land between the lakes, just to the east of Fenton, right around Golden Pond in Trigg County, under a tornado warning at this point. Perhaps seeing some rotation trying to spin up again, but I'm a little more concerned about the wind that we're seeing develop here. So headed towards Linton, Cumberland shores again, and over towards Snyder even. This whole area. Oop, there's a new, let's get that new scan in. So this will zoom out.
Jump right by the Golden Pond area. Once again, seeing a lot of the same things here. Not seeing much on the correlation coefficient, but definitely still watching this closely. And I'll also back end this, Katie. I've been watching on my end over here. It looks like there's quite a bit of hail with this as well.
Yeah.
Which is one other thing, even if nothing's on the ground here, if you've got the wind to deal with, and then you have what could be at times large size hail moving through this one little cluster, that could be one of the threats we have to watch out for here. Even if we don't end up necessarily seeing tornado warnings, a lot of these thunderstorms could pack a punch. They get very tall very quickly, especially if they kind of isolate themselves like this one cluster has done so far. So that's one big thing I've been monitoring over here, and I'm very curious to see if that continues with that. But that's always one sign, too, of a strong thunderstorm. The taller it is, and when you start getting hail in this, and you start talking about aggressive wind no matter what, and that little bow, we're still going to watch that here. We get a new radar jump, as we just talked about here, about every 5 to 7 minutes, depending upon how they have the radar scan going. It has to go all the way around and give us new information. So when you're looking at it and you're going, this thing's not moving at all, and then it does the little bloop, we kind of reassess everything on our end when it comes to all the products we've got with, when it comes to the wind coming to the radar, from the radar, the reds and green colors, when it comes to the hail, when it comes to all the different things that could go into factor here. But this still looks like, even if there's nothing that's necessarily on the ground right now, absolutely the wind threats here is going to continue with this storm system as it moves through.
Yeah, and it does look like it's maintaining its strength. In fact, the Weather Service, Greg, has just upped the severe thunderstorm warning in Stewart County and now includes parts of Houston County to that destructive tag for winds up to 80 miles per hour. So please make sure that you're taking these warnings as seriously as you would as a tornado. If you have friends and family in the area, give them a call, give them a heads up. These are serious wind gusts that we are looking at, with winds up to 80 miles per hour within this line that's pushing through here.
And that's essentially EF0 strength wind moving through, an entire line moving through. Just to put that in the back of the mind at 1 o'clock in the morning, that's tornado strength wind and that entire line that's starting to move through. So that's why they put that destructive tag on there. That's why you got to treat it just to that point, as though there's something that could be on the ground. It's not. This is just going to be a very strong push of wind as it starts to move through slowly.
And keep in mind, too, that if you're just waking up in the area of these warnings, that a destructive wind tag will set your phone off like it does a tornado. So the wheel alerts are going off if you're waking up and tuning in from Dover, even up towards Chestnut Grove or McKinnon, anywhere within the line of that destructive wind tag. It's going to send a signal to your phone and wake you up on purpose, just as it would a tornado, because we are looking at the potential for destructive winds up to 80 miles per hour. And as Greg mentioned, that is an EF0 tornado strength. So really, at this point, we're talking about just a difference in how damage will be laid out. Is it going to be kind of all in a mess, in a different swirl, or is it going to be one straight line push, just kind of laid out all in a line? So that would be straight line wind damage. So all of these communities here need to make sure that you're taking safety precautions and just staying away from windows and other areas that may be vulnerable to debris flying into your home potentially. Dover in the next 8 minutes, expecting that main line to push in. 12 minutes to McKinnon. Magnolia around 17 minutes. Cumberland City around 26 minutes from now. We've got the high wind speeds coming in again. These are destructive severe thunderstorm warnings that are being issued by the Weather Service. We still do have the tornado warning as well in Trigg County, but have not seen it advance, so they have not extended that warning just yet. So that's a good piece of news, but still we've got the destructive wind tag. So beyond that, so we're still dealing with dangerous weather conditions, whether or not they decide to reissue the tornado warning at this point. So we want to just treat it as such. As an actual tornado warning, but we'll zoom in here and again from Linton. That high wind area has already moved through here, headed towards Roaring Springs, even Caledonia, kind of right on the edge of that severe thunderstorm warning. But this little kind of snake that you see in the line, that's going to be where we have those higher wind gusts, possibly up to about 80 miles per hour. So really want to make sure that you're taking these warnings as seriously as you would a tornado warning. And really, I would say, Greg, it's probably that little notch that's most concerning.
That's what they're probably watching. They probably have not expanded this warning just yet because they want to see 1 or 2 more radar scans. This warning does go till 1:30. If it tightens up again, which it very well could, that might push it and continue it off toward the east. On the other weather computer, I've got kind of the scene set for you here. If you're waking up right now, most of the area has absolutely nothing going on. Maybe you're waking up or just getting ready to go to bed. You can see right here that there's nothing on the radar here when it comes to Nashville, up through Clarksville, Hopkinsville. That is all good to go as of right now. Hopkinsville, we're watching you guys very carefully, but I'm more concerned about areas like, say, Clarksville, with all this wind that's going to move in over the course of the next little bit. So if you are waking up or just going to bed and you've got friends that are in far northwestern counties here, and we're talking again, Trigg and Christian County, Stewart County, this is going to be a rough night, and this is slowly making its way down toward the Nashville area. To that point, it is expected to weaken hour by hour as it gets closer to Nashville. That does not mean that we're not going to see any type of dangerous wind. That does not mean that we are in the all clear by any means. There is still a watch that's going to be in effect here, which includes Davidson County until we go towards 7. But you can see tornado warning right here, right over Cumberland Shores, the Canton area, out toward Maple Grove. It's this little area that we've got circling right here on the map that is of most concern. And we leave this little area covered or colored in the circle. We'll look at a couple different what we call radar products, the things we look at behind the scenes, but then show you to put the puzzle pieces together. And there's one of those radar jumps. So that circle, again, moved a little bit in this direction. And that's the radar scan we get about every 5 to 7 minutes. So we're going to scoot the radar over, and we'll look at a couple of these things in this area that is this hot zone. Again, this is the Maple Grove area. If you're living out toward Roaring Springs, if you're in Cumberland Shores, you need to still be in your safe spot. Your safe spot is going to be, and always will be, the lowest area of your home. If you do not have a basement, I didn't grow up with a basement. You want to find that interior room, lowest level of where you live, with no windows and as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So we're taking a look here at the radar. This is the typical radar. You see the reds, the yellows, the greens, and how that operates for us here. Now we'll look at a few other things. We'll look at the reds and the greens when it comes to any possible rotation. The closer these two colors get together, the more we dislike it. The warmer the colors, the brighter the colors get, the more we dislike that on top of it. And right now, this looks to be a little bit broader with rotation, which is very, very strong wind with this, again, a destructive tag has been put on these severe thunderstorm warnings, meaning that there could be wind speeds that approach or get above right around 80 miles per hour. Another thing we'll look at is what we call our shear rate, which we're seeing a little bit of here, right near that circle, and that red telling us that there are some areas of significant rotation. Not a guarantee it's on the ground, but definitely showing us that we've got these little clusters of rotation within this warning that we've got here on your screen that can continue to spin up and can continue to die down potentially. And one more thing we'll look at is the hail path and hail detector. So we've kind of got a 1, 2, 3. We have damaging wind in some areas for sure. This is definitely one of those storm systems where as it does move in, the wind is going to pick up aggressively and very quickly. We're seeing these subtle signs of rotation, and we've got hail. So this warning again has not been extended just yet. Looking at the National Weather Service chat, they've not extended it, but this does go until 1:30 here. We're talking about Trigg County here, and we'll continue to watch all the surrounding counties with the orange boxes that have the potential of up to 80-mile-per-hour wind speeds.
All right, thanks so much, Greg. And I was just checking chat too, just to see if we have any more updates coming in. I don't see anything just yet, but these storms again, definitely capable of doing damage. And we're going to be watching this line here, this first line, but then behind that, we've got another batch of storms, which may then turn more into a flash flood risk as we head into the early morning hours. I do think that we have a pretty messy morning commute on our hands for Thursday, which now is Thursday morning, but that's something else we're gonna have to keep in mind. Eventually, I think within the next hour or two, this will shift still more, a little bit more away from tornado, and this is definitely becoming more wind, heavy rain driven. Those will be the two main concerns here. Now, the good news is it does look like they did allow the tornado warning to cancel early out of Trigg County, but we continue to track the potential for damaging wind gusts out of Trigg County and through Stewart County. So that's where we've got the destructive tag at the moment with these storms that are pushing through, along with very heavy rain with these storms moving at about 40 miles per hour. So this will drop some good rainfall in a real short amount of time, and that's going to be our main concern as we continue through the morning hours here. The severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect here in pink for counties mainly along and west of I-65, and that's going to go until 6 o'clock in the morning. Does include Nashville, includes Franklin, Clarksville. I think we're looking at thunderstorms knocking on your doorstep now, so within the hour, probably even maybe within the half hour, but at least within the hour. So that leading edge is actually,
I'd say about 45 minutes for Clarksville at this point. I'm kind of doing a little math over here on my end, and it could be right near the Nashville area. Again, hopefully weakening and just becoming more of a wind threat, but I would say by about 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's going to be one of those very long nights and very long mornings, because this is going to linger into the morning commute, whether or not there's water on the ground or storms are still firing. So we're going to have you covered all night long for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be noisy. I think a lot of folks are going to be waking up with this here. And again, I took off the lightning just because it's easier to see without lightning on at the moment. So it is 1:10, and I do want to continue to watch these two destructive tags that we have. Winds up to 80 miles per hour mean business. It's serious, and again, can do damage just like a low-end tornado can. So we are watching this here. I think at this point for the back, we'll go ahead and take a short break just to sort of regroup and see what we have going on and gather some more reports. But we'll likely be cutting back in here at least with any more reports that we do have about wind damage, and of course watching too for any more tornado warnings that are issued. But please make sure, again, the destructive tags here within the severe thunderstorm warnings for Trigg County, this now includes Stewart County and parts of Houston County, these all go until 1:30. So wind speeds up to 80 miles per hour will be possible, mainly along this front edge, stretching from Trigg County all the way through Stewart. The good news is too, this was a destructive tag earlier through Henry County and part of Benton County, and that has been lowered to a base severe thunderstorm warning, which would be for winds at 60 miles per hour. So that's what we have at the moment. Looks like, I'm just looking at more reports coming in. Still seeing some good wind gusts here, but I would say that within the strongest part of that storm is where that 80-mile-per-hour wind gust will be possible. So with that, I think we're going to step aside for just a minute to gather a few more reports here, and we'll be cutting in as necessary through the overnight.